T-Bot here, and welcome to part 1 of my Legend of Zelda Let's Play for NES. This game was originally released in 1986, it wasn't released until over here until 87, so not a huge wait. It was the very first game made for the Zelda series. It was also the fourth highest selling NES game and the second highest selling Zelda game of the series, I think Ocarina of Time being the first. So here's a little blur of the basic story of the game. I think the instruction manual actually was a bit more in depth, but generally the story in this game is kind of not really hugely relevant. Just go for 8 dungeons, get pieces of Triforce, build the Triforce up, and then go defeat Ganon and get his Triforce. So yeah, it's not hugely complicated, it's quite basic in terms of story. Gameplay wise, well, playing the game itself is quite good, but figuring out where to go can be a bit of a pain or a problem at certain points. As the game is not very clear, unlike some more recent games, not just Zelda games, but games in general, where the game kind of just holds your hand and takes you to the next room and says, you have to do this now, and you do it. This you don't really have any much clear indication at all where to go, what to do. There's some hints in that of where to go in that, but it's not hugely that helpful. So yeah, it's kind of a pain if you don't know where to go. If you do know where to go, it's actually not as difficult, but it can be kind of difficult to remember exactly where to go in that. So you start off the game, you don't actually have to take the sword. It's actually possible to get to Ganon. Whole game getting to Ganon, you can't defeat him unless you have the sword, but you can get that far and not have the sword. That will be that is some pretty difficult challenges. The sword is one of the main items you use. It's one of the best items for defeating quite a lot of enemies, so it's kind of difficult to do that. I'm not going to be doing any kind of gimmicks or anything like that. I'm just going to be doing a straightforward let's play and try to remember exactly where to go and everything like that. But yeah. This part is probably going to be maybe the least entertaining, if any of all is going to be entertaining. That I'm going to go straight away to the first dungeon, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get a lot of the hidden items, a lot of the hidden locations and that, because I'd rather get them out of the way and get them done now rather than later. It also makes the first dungeon much easier than it normally is, so that's quite good as well. The first thing I want to do is get some bombs. To get the bombs, there's blue octoroks on the next screen, and occasionally they'll drop bombs. If not, we're going to need 20 rupees to get some bombs. I really hate these lever guys. They're really annoying just because they always pop out the ground and start attacking you, and a lot of the time I'm unprepared for them and get attacked and hurt and everything like that. And these blue octoroks I was talking about, occasionally they'll drop bombs, and sometimes they won't, and that one there just drop some bombs. They just pick the bombs up, and yeah. So every bomb you pick up, we get 4 at the start. We want you to carry a maximum of 8 bombs, which is enough what we need for earlier on stuff, but as things go on later on when you have to use bombs for certain bosses and enemies, and you have to use bombs to get through the dungeons and breaking down walls, it does become a bit of a pain. But we do get some upgrades from later, but they cost 100 rupees each, so that kind of sucks. So this is a shop where you can buy the bombs. Get the shops first. The shop here you can get them for 20 rupees. I don't even have enough for them. But I can't carry any more anyway, so that's quite good. You also can get the magical shield and the arrows. I would recommend not getting the magical shield here. I'll show either in this part or in another part where to get magical shield for 90 rupees. There's actually 2 locations you can get it in as well. Plus you don't hugely need the magical shield at the moment. The only thing at the moment the magical shield be useful is blocking the fireballs from that Zora in the water. The other thing are the arrows. I'll be getting the arrows from that shop later, but we don't have the bow yet, so it seems a bit redundant to get them. But personally I don't really use the bow and arrows that much unless it's certain enemies that need them. Like the Poe's voice, you could one-hit KO them with the arrows and take 3 hits. So I think the magical sword, which is the last sword you can get. So that's kind of useful. And there's a certain boss as well that you need to use the arrows for. So yeah, there we got the heart piece. You may have noticed there's also a red potion. You have to take the red potion or the heart piece. I would recommend taking the heart, providing you want heart, because you can get buy the red potion soon enough once you get lighter and show it to an old woman. And yeah, so if you buy the item and you can't buy hearts, it seems more logical to take the heart because you can't buy them. If you're wondering what the red potion does, you can use it twice and it'll fully heal all your hearts. So it's quite useful, especially if you're low HP and you're near the end of a dungeon. It's like, oh, I need hearts, oh, I use my red potion. Once you use the red potion, it'll actually turn to a blue potion, which you can only use once. So then it's basically use the red potion once, it turns to a blue potion. Use the blue potion once, it'll turn to a blue potion. You also will buy the blue potions as well. I think the blue potions cost 40 rupees, the red ones cost 68. I've not really understood why they're 68. I think all the other items are generally like in the 10s, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, etc. But it seems random just to be at 68. Why not 70? Why not 60? Sure, why not? And this is the letter I was talking about. We've not met the old woman yet, but we'll meet her soon enough and give her the letter and allow us to buy some potions. And these tech types here, the things jumping around, actually aren't really like hugely difficult enemies, but they're kind of annoying that they always just jump around and that. And I try to get a heart from one of them, but sadly I don't get any hearts. Because 7 full hearts is quite useful, so I hate these pea heads or pea hats, I can't remember, or there's something like that, something stupid like that. As to kill them, you need to wait for them to stop moving around and stop flying, and then you can kill them. I think it'll take one hit to kill them, but it's just getting them, because they can hurt you when they're in mid-air, but you can't hurt them, so I really annoying to get rid of them. And that was a hidden location for 300 rupees. This is also a money making shop here. Just choose one of the rupees you get buzzes with making a number, and depending on what it is, will depend on what you get rupee wise. Also another note on 100 rupee thing, there's 2 more locations of 100 rupees hidden, mobbing hideouts. There's also a few locations of 10 and 20, no 10 and 30 rupees, and there's also a few locations which you don't want to find, which will make you have to pay to fix the door. This is normally about 20 rupees, so that's kind of a bit of a pain. And going back to the money shop thing again, if you apparently I'm not 100% sure on this, I don't really use them that much, but if you go up for the right rupee all the time, at the most you'll get -10. Sometimes you get -30, 40, but apparently that won't happen if you go for the right one. Also, in this area here, you want to go left. If you go down, you go down, right, or up. Again, in that location, you're just going to go in circles. It'll just take you back to that screen unless you constantly go up and then you go to another dungeon. I can't remember which dungeon it is. I think it might be the 5th or the 6th dungeon. So this is our upgrade for the sword. We can only get this once you've got 5 hearts, which we have, and it pretty much just gives you a stronger sword and enemies that will take less hits to kill. For example, a blue lino up there, with the old sword it would have took 8 hits to kill, but this sword it will take 4 hits. But I don't really want to fight it because it's probably the strongest enemy in terms of overworld enemies. It does a lot of damage to you, as well as it taking a lot of hits to take down. I think probably the guineas is probably the hardest to take down amount of hits it takes, but they aren't actually hard enemies because they just wander around doing their own thing. They don't really attack you while the linos do. So next, there's still another 2 hidden rupee locations I want to go to, as well as getting the blue candle, and to actually get the rupee locations we need the blue candle, as well as I want to get the blue ring and another heart piece, and I think that'll probably be it for this part. It's just a lot of travelling around. I actually could have got the power bracelet before I got this upgraded sword, which allow us to use warp points. There's 4 fixed locations that you can warp between, and they'll teleport you between all over Hyrule. Personally, I don't like them that much because generally I actually find walking around to be quicker, but I guess in some cases using them it could actually be more of an advantage than a disadvantage of running around. Especially the fact that you don't have to fight enemies. Even if you don't fight them and try to avoid them, they can still hurt you, then you need to kill enemies to try and get some hearts, which is a little pain. So here we have the magical shield again at an even higher price than the first shop we saw, the blue candle and a key. It's a waste of time buying the keys because generally you get enough keys in the dungeons by the time you get the magical key or the master key at the end, which lets you unlock any door you want without having to use a number of keys, and I think you get quite a few spare by that point. If you need to buy a key, it's probably best to look in the dungeon you're in or another dungeon you've been in to make sure there's not any hidden locations or that you've missed to get a key. Keys are really good for the dungeons. So we have a blue candle here, and this is useful in dungeons to light up dark rooms if you need that. It also allows you to burn down trees. The only problem with it, you should only use it once per screen, so if you miss the thing you're trying to burn, you could go off screen and back on screen to burn it, which can be a bit more pain, to be honest. And best not to walk into the flame because you will get burned. And it seems a bit silly to walk into the flame anyway. But you can sometimes accidentally do it if you're something silly like me, and if you have your finger down on the forward button and you're using a candle, so you fire the candle and then you automatically just run right into it. Like silly stuff like that you may do by accident, but apart from that it's just not much of a problem. And you also get an upgrade for the candle later on, the red candle, but by the time you actually get the red candle, you get an upgrade for another item you get, and it pretty much makes the red candle obsolete, because it basically does what the red candle does as well as doing it better, so it seems a bit of a silly thing, at least in this first quest. I can't remember the order, the way you get upgrades and items in the second quest. I know it's a lot different, so it might be different like that. So yeah, this is where we show the old lady, this old woman. It's not particularly a clue, you have to show her the letter, but just pull the letter out, show her it, and there's actually quite a few locations. There's some hidden, some not, where you can buy the red and blue potions, but they cost the exact same amount in every location, so it doesn't really matter. You have to go to a specific one. It's probably best to go to the closest one, providing you know where they are. Personally, I actually don't know where many of them are, apart from that one, and a hidden one, and one other, which is out in the open, but the one in the open I think has like 4 or 5 blue line arrows at it, so it's kind of a difficult thing to get. So this is our last 100 rupee location, and it's actually getting us enough money to get us the blue ring. Just over 5 rupees of what we need. The blue ring, I can't remember if I've said or not, is basically an upgrade for your outfit, and you get to look sexier, as well as it boosting your defense pretty much, and it'll take less, you're basically half the damage you'll be taking, so that's good. I think it's supposed to be light blue, it actually makes your outfit, but I think it looks more white than light blue. We'll see in a minute. The screen up here, we're going to have to go there, and that's it. I don't get constant attack. You may notice as well that see we're taking a lot less damage now. Get rid of some of these levers first, and yeah, like some hearts that guys on the ground, and heavy guard of them now. If you go for the there, get rid of them now, die. The middle armors here you get from behind. Best if you're activating these armors, don't go for the front because they're charged right into you. So yeah, take the blue ring and we'll see outfit change in a minute, I guess. And there's also the bait there, or the food, or whatever you would call it, which you actually need later for another dungeon, but it's not really necessarily. And there's our outfit change. And when you're going out, try not to do what I'm doing, keep holding down so you automatically run into the armors and activate it again. They aren't really too difficult to get rid of. I can't remember if it takes 4 or 2 hits with the white sword, but sure, why not. So we're actually coming near to the end of this part. I think we'll get the last hidden heart we can at the moment. The other 2 we need a raft, and we need a step ladder to get. So we can't get them now, but the next heart we need is on the way to the first dungeon anyway, so may as well get that. It's probably best to start the dungeons with full hearts when you can. It can be a bit difficult if enemies don't want to drop hearts, but bad luck if you don't, I guess. So yeah, here's the 5th tree from the right. You want to burn that. Fired the wrong way there. So you have to go off screen and back on to use the candle again, because you only use it once per screen. I just have a bad habit as well, is burning the 4th from the right, seeing as I somehow can't count and see there's 5. No, that's the 4th one I want to burn, that's 5. So yeah, we get the heart piece. This is the last heart piece we'll get for now. We'll get one at the end of the first dungeon once we do that, so that'll be quite good. And yeah, pretty much. Oh, there's stopwatch, and yeah, see it freezes things and the Zora thing and the water's not coming out and we're flashing and everything like that. So hopefully one of these, some of these guys can give a good amount of, there we go, 2 hearts, okay, there. Need another half a heart. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed watching, and see you next time for part 2.